Hello, Meoni here, and welcome back to another short news video. This one then all about a brand new version of Final Fantasy XIV coming sometime in 2025. So 10 plus years have passed since Final Fantasy XIV released in its global version form that most of us are playing that we're watching this video today. And yesterday, this video made an appearance on YouTube. Here, the producer and director of Final Fantasy XIV, Naoki Yoshida, sat down and announced the traditional Chinese version of the game. This is a brand new region version of the game in traditional Chinese only. This new version covers Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Macau, Malaysia, and other Southeast Asia territories. This comes as pretty huge in my book as a surprise, as the game has been available to players worldwide in its current form for, as we said, over 10 years, and to have this new version announced, it's interesting to see how impactful of a decision to finally give those players their own version will actually be. Are they a little bit late to the party for this one? Many residents of those regions have people who do not use English as their main language, as far as I know, so having simplified Chinese would likely be a tempting experience to see what the game has to offer. Perhaps even, to play it in your own region equivalent would be quite an appeal. Many Southeast Asia players currently play on Japanese servers, so whether this would promote them trying a new version out or not is still in the air, considering that time that has elapsed, 10 years plus of investment. So they're really looking at new players, I guess, as well as those who really want their own version of the game. This personally reminds me of the Oceanic Data Center, trying to encourage the Oceanic audiences to play there when the majority, from my understanding, played, and actually many still do, on the Japanese servers on places like Elemental, Tombury in particular. Shout out to Tombury once again. Fantastic people over there that I've met. So it remains to be seen how busy this new version could actually be. It's scheduled for a 2025 release, and this traditional Chinese version will be launched by Square Enix and partner company Userjoy Games in collaboration with Nada Holdings, of which I know very little about, although if we look at Userjoy Games, it seems to be all kinds of mobile stuff, and Nada Holdings seems to do all sorts of promotional stuff with a variety of different things, not just games. It's going to be distributed apparently by Taiwanese company Unified Entertainment in collaboration with Jibao International. I think I've got that correct. So yeah, maybe one of those names, especially Userjoy Games, probably will resonate with you from the mobile side of things. But this is a full normal version of Final Fantasy XIV. My question is it too late to split off to a new version of a game when players who already play from those territories have been going and doing so for 10 years? Will this new version have IP restrictions like other versions of a game outside the global version? For example, the Chinese and Korean versions require either social security numbers or, IP checking to actually sign up and play a character. Will they have the same progression as our global servers? Many of those questions are in the air. The Chinese and Korean versions of the game are actually catching up currently to the global version. They're currently a patch behind. They're actually in 7.1 as of, I think, last month. So where will this new version pick up? If it's similar to the global version, then I can see people probably being more tempted. But if it's behind that, I don't know how likely people will be to jump for that. How will that payment method work? That's the other question I have. Subscription games are not unheard of in Southeast Asia territories, but are much less popular, right? Because of the nature of gaming in those countries, which is, it's a purely a guess considering I have very limited metrics I'm aware of with MMORPGs. A lot of things have changed in the last few years, in the 10 plus years that I've been playing 14. So maybe it could work, but it's more likely going to be a similar system to like a crystal charge system like the Chinese version has or the Korean version has, more than it is likely to be a subscription model. So I don't know if that kind of tempts people in a different way, or if that's the deal breaker. But clearly Square Enix believes that this is a viable option, obviously, and this video in which Naoki Yoshida mentions there will be a fan meet and greet in Taipei on March the 30th. This is available via a lottery system, apparently, so it's fairly likely that more information will come from that event, and I think if there is anybody attending that, they'd need to ask the real questions. What is the version's, limitations? What are those restrictions? Is it going to be behind the current global version? And I think the answer to a lot of those questions, if they are asked, will be the deciding factor for a lot of Southeast Asia players. Obviously, new players, and old to the game that have already been playing. We're likely to hear more about Southeast Asia and ultimately the Chinese news soon with the mobile game, of course. We haven't forgot that. That's still currently in beta, closed beta in the China version. And presumably that's going to enter a global beta at some point. Like later this year? I don't know if that's a thing that's going to happen or if it's going to be next year. But I'm surprised we haven't heard much more about the mobile version of 14 as well. But but for this is a regular full version of Final Fantasy XIV in traditional Chinese for Southeast Asia territories. It's an unusual announcement in my opinion. But my question to you watching this is, do you know of anyone who's ultimately wanting to switch over to this new version? Anybody you know who's like tempted, has the sheer, time that the game's been out, your own investments into the global account that many of you probably play, or any of the potential pitfalls of version differences or restrictions I mentioned previously put you off? I'm very curious. Let me know. But for now, it's surprising to see Final Fantasy XIV grow to different audiences, even if I may be so bold to say it seems rather late to do so. Let me know. Much love, and I'll see you all next time with more news.